Hello, Guy here from Off My Bridge. We are looking at engineering this week, how to play an engineer. Now, engineers traditionally have got all the cool things to do. They fix and maintain and upgrade the ship. But how does this actually translate into Star Trek Adventures 2? Before we dive into that, remember to hit the like button if you like these videos so that I know that you like them. Otherwise, I assume you don't. You might just watch them and hate them. I need to know. So, like away. Engineers have as their key mandate understanding structurally what is going on. And I say structurally very importantly, because an engineer outside of their starship, you're going, well, what should they be doing? Again, understanding structurally what's going on. That means being aware that you are inside a building, you're on an asteroid, you are in a shuttlecraft, you're in a starship, you're in an alien starship. Understanding what that means is important for the engineer so that you can give advice to those that need to know. So how do we do this? What are the questions that an engineer should be asking? Well, the very first question an engineer should ask when they're in any kind of situation is, what is working, what is mechanical, and how does it work? So those questions really form the basis of your beginning. Should it be working? Should it be moving? Should it be beeping? Should it not be beeping? These are the next set of questions that you should be asking. What does it do is a really important question. What shouldn't it do? What should it do? How is it going to do it? When is it going to do it? Are we safe in this space? Is it going to collapse? Is it going to explode? Is it going to implode? What are we looking at in terms of this space? And you can understand all of that. You make the appropriate rolls, ask the GM questions like, well, I want to analyze the structure. Does it look safe to me? Does it look secure? Does it sound like it's doing what it should be doing? Does it feel like it should be vibrating? Is it vibrating a lot? Are the vibrations changing? You've got to ask all of these kinds of questions because you are trying to build up a picture of what's going on. You also need to ask questions of, how would I stop this from doing whatever it is it's doing? How could I sabotage this? How could I shut it down safely? How could I remove it? How could I add to it? How could I enhance it? Just so many questions that should be spinning through your mind whenever you are encountering a new space or a new piece of technology or an existing piece of technology. So much is going on. Now, a lot of the time, it won't be valuable. You're inside a cave. Hey, structurally, is this cave safe? Yes, you've scanned the walls. It means the walls, the GM tells you, was made out of an old granite. They've been around for thousands of years. There's no signs of weakness. Well, hey, great. We are safe. That's not where your questions should end, however. Okay, what could cause this to become unsafe? If we detonated an explosive charge, would it cause the ceiling to collapse on us? Would it cause the land bridge we're on to collapse? What if there was a sonic disruption? What if there was an energy disruption? Again, running through all of these kinds of questions, not necessarily bombarding the GM with them, but just getting a general idea is part of your purview as an engineer. You also need to look at situations where there is strange sciencey stuff going on and the scientist has said, well, we've detected huge amounts of Angarian radiation. And as an engineer, you go, oh, that sounds very sciencey. That's not the question you should be asking. The question you should be asking is, what does Angarian radiation do to technology, to equipment, to phases, to tricorders, to starships? Is this something that we should be worried about? And if so, how can I create a technological solution to prevent this from happening? What can I do to solve this problem? What can I do to make this better, stronger, last longer, to continue operating for longer? What do I have available? Now, when it comes to doing things in downtime, the engineers have got recalibrating, cleaning, scrubbing, realigning, upgrading, diagnostic running. There are so many things that engineers can do, but are those particularly fun things to do? Well, looking at upgrades is a particularly fun thing to do, potentially as an engineer. It might not happen, and the GM might say, well, yes, but you need to go to a starbase for that, and it's going to take 6 weeks. That's still cool. That's still up to you. You could also be going, you know what, Captain? I know that we've got carpet on the bridge, but I'm now thinking galvanized sheet metal, which has got a rubberized texture on it. It's going to prevent slippage. It's easier to clean. Little things like that will help make your engineer make the ship their own. Because let's be honest, the ship is actually theirs. It's not really the captain's, it's the engineers. We know this to be true. Furthermore, as with all of the roles that you can have, your engineer could have a hobby which could be related to the ship. Tinkering with the ship, upgrading it. I'm trying to get another 0.5% out of the warp core. I'm trying to look at rerouting EPS conduits through a different process. Could be those kinds of things, or it could be, I like to recreate Battle of Britain, war, and strife in the holodeck. It's entirely up to you, but those are the main things that you should be looking at in your downtime. When it comes to ship's orders, well, you've got pretty much one mandate. Keep the ship together. Don't let it explode. Those are the things that you are really focused on. You are looking at damage control. You are looking at regaining power. You are looking at regenerating shields. And of course, reroute power is really useful. Suddenly, the next system that's used, it generates an automatic critical success. That's 2 successes for rerouting power. Then, of course, you've got to regain power to get your reserve power back up again. So understanding that dynamic is really important. Now, of course, at the beginning of battles, presumably there's no damage to the ship. So using that reroute power option is quite cool, because you can reroute power, give some energy somewhere, and then regain power in the next action cycle, and you haven't really lost anything. You haven't lost anything. Your ship has gained some advantage, and now you're moving into battle, and then you can start doing damage repair and things like that. So that's really fun stuff to be doing during the combat itself. And of course, creating some traits. Well, there are a few traits that I have thought of, and I would love to know if you've come up with any traits or orders or ideas for how to play an engineer. And if so, just drop them in the comments down below so we can all learn how to be a better engineer. So the traits that I've come up with are reroutes through an anodyne capacitor. Anodyne relays, anodyne capacitors, all these kinds of wonderful things are often added to ship systems. And all that this would do is this would increase the damage of an energy weapon by +1 for the duration of the scene, or until your next turn, depending on how much momentum cost your GM is going to assign to this trait. So reroute power through an anodyne relay. Trait number 1. Trait number 2, reinforce structural integrity. Now, this is a command that's given a lot of times, and I feel it's best represented that the ship's resistance increases by 1 once shields are at 0. So you've rerouted power to reinforce structural integrity. You're doing the best you can to keep the ship to keep the ship together whilst it's under attack. This next one is purely subjective, so remember to check with your GM first, but I would say emergency force field standing by is a trait that you have set up as the engineer. You've allocated just a little bit of extra power to those emergency force fields. And so what this does is, as a trait, when your ship takes a breach, the breach affects the system that it was hit. However, the breach does not count towards your ship's maximum number of breaches. So before going critical and blowing up and being destroyed. So if you can take 4 breaches with your emergency force fields in place trait, you would be able to take 5 breaches instead before your ship goes critical. It's just a little nice, hey, let's add some stuff in so we can do Voyager's Year of Hell, where the ship is just pounded and pounded and pounded and pounded and pounded. Anyway, those are our engineers. I think they're really cool. They're lots of fun to play. You've just got to know what questions to ask. And in the case of the engineers, they've got so many, it's insane. Huge love to the patrons who keep this channel going. And of course, to you for watching all the way until the end. Until next time, live long and happy gaming.